Hello again, welcome back to another episode of Gear Toward Gear. My name is Sean and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be taking a look at another light. This one in particular was recommended to me by one of the viewers. Shout out to Slith for recommending this light. I did pick one up a few days ago, or it arrived a few days ago rather. I've carried it a bit. It actually kind of saved my butt last night actually, and I'll get into that in a minute. But this light here is made by Nebo. It's called the Redline Flex. It's going to put out 450 lumens on a 14500 battery, which is included, and it has a built-in USB charging system, and it costs 22 bucks. So that right there should tell you a lot. So let's get into the box, take a look at the light, and get a little more detail here. But 450 lumens, built-in USB rechargeable, included 14500 battery for 22 bucks. It's a pretty damn good deal. So here's what the light looks like out of the box. And I put this back on here just so you can see how it comes. It comes with a USB recharging cable, which is another bonus. You know, at that price point, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to include the cable, but they do. I charged mine with another USB cable that I had lying around, but they do include it, so that is nice. So this is the Nebo, as I mentioned, the Nebo Redline Flex. And it's a relatively small light. In total length, we're looking at just over 4 inches, about 4¼ inches. The diameter here is going to be about 3/4 of an inch on the main body, and it's going to be a little wider at the tail end as well as the bezel end. And we'll talk about why here in a minute. But this is an interesting light. I was not familiar with, I had heard of, but was not familiar really with the Nebo brand. It's a Chinese manufacturer, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. And when this was recommended to me, I looked at the price point and the features, and I thought it was worth taking a look at and sharing with you guys. So what we're looking at here is a light that has a couple cool features, and we'll get into the user interface and lumen output and all that. It does have a 6x zoom, and it says right there, 6x zoom. So by twisting the bezel, you can zoom this in for a more precise small beam. In its standard configuration, it's going to be a really wide spotlight with no hotspot in the center whatsoever. It does have a magnetic tail end, and that is not removable, so you're stuck with the magnet. You know, if you don't like those, then maybe this isn't the light for you, but it can certainly come in handy, and I'll talk about where I think this light will shine, no pun intended, as far as everyday use. It also has a reversible, or not reversible, but a bi-directional clip, like we've seen on some other lights, where you can clip it to your pocket this way, or to the bill of a cap in that configuration. So that's nice. Ride's relatively deep. I mean, you're gonna have an inch, 3/4 of an inch protruding out of your pocket, but not too bad. So this has 4 modes. It has a low, a high, a turbo, and a strobe feature. And it also will run on a AA battery. So we talked about 14500 batteries and AA batteries on my last video on a lumen top tool AA. And this light is very similar in that it will run on a 14500 battery, which is included, which again, for the price of 22 bucks to include the battery, which would normally cost you about 10 bucks, is really awesome. So lithium ion rechargeable battery, 3.7 volts, that is included. And then to have the ability to charge that battery with the light, as I mentioned, it's got the 6x zoom. As you zoom in, you expose the micro USB input for charging. So pretty neat little setup. So the user interface is actually pretty intuitive on this light. It's going to come on, it's a side switch. So as I mentioned, it has a magnetic tail. So no clicky tail switch if that's your preference. It does have a side switch here with their little Nebo logo. So when you press it once, it's going to come on automatically into its lowest setting. And again, this is on a 14500 battery, so that's going to be 80 lumens. You press it one more time, it's going to go to high. I'm sorry, I started on high. It comes on high automatically. So let me kind of redeem myself here. So you turn it on, it comes on high. 250 lumens. Press it again, goes down to low, which is 80 lumens. To get to the turbo mode, you simply hold down the button for like 2 seconds. And you can do it from the off position or from any other brightness setting. So right now, again, we're on that high at 250 lumens. If I press and hold, it's gonna bump up to that 450 lumen turbo mode. If I press it, it'll turn off. And from the off position, same thing. I can just long press it for 2 seconds and it goes straight to turbo. The strobe feature, again, is easy to get to. You just double tap the button here from the off position or from any other brightness setting. So from the off position, double tap, and warning for anybody sensitive to strobe, double tap, goes to strobe, which is 250 lumens. And if the light's already on, so it's in low, for this example, if I double tap, it's still going to go to that strobe mode. So I like that you can get to turbo or strobe from any brightness setting or from the off position. So again, long press, straight to turbo, 450 lumens. And it's kind of neat, I guess. It has this kind of ring that lights up around the bezel when you turn the light on. So this light did not mention in any of its literature on the box, on their website, or on Amazon as to whether or not the outputs have been verified or certified by ANC or anything like that. So I'm taking the company at their word that these outputs are what they are. Having used it in a very dark setting last night, I don't know that the turbo mode is truly 450 lumens, but it's probably pretty close. I tested it against one of my weapons lights that's 350 lumens, and this was just maybe a touch brighter. So it may not be a full 450, but it's pretty close. So I'm not going to knock them for that. So in its kind of closed position here, again, I mentioned a little over 4 inches, so that's how you'd probably carry it. And this is going to be a straight up spotlight. So it's going to light up a large area with no hot spot in the center at all. As you zoom in, by twisting the bezel, you're going to just, tighten up that beam to a more kind of detailed, focused beam, which kind of ends up being a square shape once you zoom it all the way in. And then again, as we zoom out, it will create that large spotlight. And that's accomplished by this convex lens that they have on the end here. I do own one other light that I bought years ago, probably 10 or more years ago, that has a similar lens and functionality. So it's nice that you can use it as a spotlight, or you can get more detailed and really narrow that beam if you need to. So as with the lumen top that I reviewed, this will also take a AA battery. I don't know why you would use one. Again, it comes with the 14500 rechargeable, comes with the charging cable. So you're all set up for recharging and getting the full output. But say the battery dies, you don't have a USB cable nearby, you throw a AA in there, it's gonna operate just the same. The only difference is with a AA battery, you will not get the turbo setting. So on a AA battery on low, you'll get 30 lumens. On high, you'll get 90 lumens, and same thing on strobe, you'll get the same 90 lumens. As far as the turbo mode is concerned, one thing to note is that when you go into turbo mode, 450 lumens, this will only stay on for 40 seconds. And that's to just preserve battery life. So after 40 seconds, it'll automatically bump down to high. If you want to go back to turbo, you can. You just long press the button again, but it'll only automatically stay on turbo for 40 seconds on its own. So that could be a pro or a con depending on your personal preferences, but that is what it is. So a pretty compact light. What I'll say about this light, and I'm really glad that I checked it out, and I appreciate, Slith, your recommendation here. For me, this won't be an EDC light, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, the size, kind of having that larger, we're looking at probably a little over an inch diameter on the bezel end. For me, what I personally prefer are smaller lights. like the lumen top I reviewed, or even some AAA lights. So just my personal preference, this wouldn't be something that I would probably EDC, meaning carry in my pocket of my jeans every day. But it certainly is and can be an EDC light. My one concern would be the bezel kind of twisting on its own in the pocket. But where I think this light would be fantastic, and why I'm glad that I purchased it, is in a toolbox, a glove box, a kitchen drawer, a bedside table, as a general purpose, kind of all-purpose utility flashlight. Having the option to zoom in and get that tight beam, or get the nice wide spotlight with no hotspot, I think could come in handy. You know, put it in a bedside table, something like that. And so last night I had to do some work on my AC unit. There was just a small leak and it was fixed and it's fine now, but I was trying to get light into a specific area. And I used this on the full, not on turbo, I just had it on high. But with, you know, in its fully compacted position, 250 lumens as a spotlight. So I could just see the whole area. But there was a particular piece and part that I needed to access that was kind of way back underneath my AC unit that I couldn't quite see properly. And so I was able to take this and zoom it in tight and get a really nice view of what I was looking for. So that feature did come in handy when I had to use this last night. So as a general all-purpose flashlight for around the house, around the garage, in the vehicle, in an EDC bag, I think it does have its place. It wouldn't be my go-to EDC light. There's a number of other ones that I would grab before I would grab this, but this is going to get use, and it's going to probably get more use, frankly, living in my kitchen drawer than my EDC lights will get, because this is just very versatile. And again, $22 with a 14500 battery included, USB chargeable, up to 450 lumens claimed on that turbo mode. I think it's a neat light. I haven't really looked into any other offerings from this company, but as my first experience, I'm certainly happy with it. It's about what I would have expected in terms of quality. I mean, it feels perfectly sturdy, like it would hold up. My only concern, again, would be just kind of how this action here would hold up over time. But a neat light that I think is quite versatile and could be a great addition to your flashlight collection, again, around the house or wherever you think that this might fit best. So that is my overview on the Nebo Redline Flex. Thanks again, Slith, for the recommendation. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.